Fellow from West Fair, and welcome to the 4th Powerful Women's Programs that we co-sponsor with the College of New Rochelle. I usually sit back and enjoy the program at these series, and let Judy Huntington, president of the College of New Rochelle, and our powerful PR and advertising mogul, Liz Bracken, take over. But today I have a special reason for wanting to participate, and that is that for about 10 years in my career, I spent those 10 years at Bloomingdale's. And that was before Julie Gaynor and Neiman Marcus, Julie. And I witnessed firsthand what an enormous economic engine the fashion industry is. That's one reason why I'm here today. The second reason is that we want to pay tribute to Mary Jane Denzer, the doyenne of high fashion in our area. She is the founder and owner of Mary Jane Denzer, the most elegant shop, good taste, just like Mary Jane herself. Her shop was first located on the Mamaroneck Avenue, and now it is at the Ritz-Carlton Square. To show you what a pro Mary Jane is, she contracted pneumonia, and she is in the hospital and could not be with us this afternoon. But we've been getting emails back and forth. She has emailed the models. She accessorized from her hospital bed. She just conducted the show from her hospital bed. And that indeed is Mary Jane Denzer. And we are so, so honored to be able to give her this little tribute and to pay recognition to a woman that has meant so much to our area. Her shop is in White Plains. And now her dear friend and client too, Susan Ubis, is here to accept the tribute and to say a few words on her behalf. Susan?
Thank you. I'm really honored to be here today to represent Mary Jane, who could not be with us. And she's been emailing me this morning also. So, Mary Jane, for 34 years, has been dressing captains of industry and the rest of us. And today we have two of her beautiful models, just to give you an idea, a glimpse into the shop, and tell you what's new for the spring. So Candy is wearing one of Kate Middleton's favorite designers, Jenny Packham, a coral beaded silk chiffon with a beautiful cowl neckline in the back, if you can see that. And Lauren is wearing Zuhar Murad, a Lebanese designer, also flowing coral silk with a beaded bodice. Both dresses are available at Mary Jane Denzer's. You can buy them now if you would like. And clearly we know that these are very special dresses, and thank you very much, ladies. So, what some of you might not know, I asked Mary Jane recently how she came to open the store after her own years in retail at Saks and Bergdorf's, and she said a customer at Bergdorf's came up to her and made her an offer. She said, if I give you 50% of the business, will you open and manage a store for me? And Mary Jane said, sure, I'll do it for 51%. And Mary Jane, always the businesswoman, won. Timeless elegance, grace, sophistication, style, and oh, that Southern Georgia charm. Thank you for recognizing her love of fashion, her contribution to the community. And if she were here today, she would say, now, let's dress up and have fun. Thank you.
love that runway music. But I just want to set a tone for this program today. I mentioned the economic engine that the fashion industry is. Let me just tell you what it does just in New York City. 180,000 jobs, paying $10.9 billion in wages, $2 billion in tax revenue annually. The industry garners more than $18 billion in retail sales, $72 billion in wholesale sales, and $8 billion in manufacturing sales annually. And then, of course, if you're familiar with Fashion Week, there are more than 250,000 people who attend, and that brings in $887 million. So, with that those numbers, and a sprinkling of glamour and an enormous, enormous creativity and fun, that's the fashion industry. I wanted to just take another second, if I may, taking up time from the program, and that is to thank our sponsors. Our main sponsor, of course, and our partner and co-host, which you will hear about shortly, is the College of New Rochelle. But we do have the Sterling National Bank as our silver sponsor, and they participate and represent the designer Cynthia Crowley. Our other sponsors are White Plains Hospital, Greenwich Medical and Laser Spa, Entergy, Bigelow Tea, Doctors George and Jeffrey Shapiro, and Dr. Maria Lofrana. Our supporters are the Westchester Library System, Gallery 66, I hope you saw those paintings, the Desertiste, and you look at and taste her work. They are truly works of art. Professional Women of Westchester, Women's Enterprise Development Center, and Women's Business Development Council. You'll hear more about our sponsors later on. There will be raffles too, some wonderful gifts, and some other closing remarks from our staff and our manager, Ann Jordan and Marcia Flug. Now, I want to present Judith Huntington, the president of the College of New Rochelle, and our generous partner for Powerful Women. She and her staff work very, very closely with us, and they've helped us develop these programs for the past 4 years. And that delicious luncheon, that is through the generosity of the college, because you're all guests. As I mentioned before, the staff of CNR has been wonderful, working very closely with West Fair's Director of Special Events, Holly DeBartolo. And so now, thank you again, Judith Huntington, College of New Rochelle, staff, everyone who has helped from your organization. Come, Judith.
Thank you, Dee. The pressures of running a $60 million college across 6 campuses with over 400 employees and 4,200 students is nothing compared to figuring out what to wear to an event that has fashion in its title. So that's how my morning started, with 6 outfits thrown all across the room and trying to figure out what would be appropriate. But good afternoon. It is a privilege to welcome you to the College of New Rochelle and the Powerful Women in Fashion event. We're thrilled to once again co-host this event in partnership with West Fair, and I'm particularly grateful to Dee Del Bello for supporting this event. Dee is a graduate, a very proud graduate of the College of New Rochelle, so I just want to say welcome home, Dee, because this is your home. And I'd like to welcome and thank our moderator, Liz Bracken-Thompson, partner with Thompson & Bender, who's also a proud CNR alumna and incredibly supportive. Welcome home, Liz. I'm delighted to welcome our panelists, my colleague president, Dr. Joyce Brown, president of Fashion Institute of Technology. Welcome, Dr. Brown. Julie Gaynor, vice president and general manager of Neiman Marcus Westchester. While we haven't met, I am a die-hard Neiman Marcus shopper. We have a lot to talk about. I have to keep this job. Barbara LaMonica, founding partner of LaMonica Bass Group, welcome. And Kara Mendelson, creative director and designer, Cooper and Ella, welcome. Last year, thank you very much. Last year, I was particularly thrilled to host the Powerful Women in Finance because as a CPA and a partner with KPMG, finance was really at the core of my existence. But this event is something very near and dear to my heart as I'm completely obsessed with fashion. And my partner in crime is here with me today. I'd like to introduce my daughter, Amanda Huntington. Amanda, stand up. She's going to thank me for that later. Amanda is a graphic designer, graduate of Sacred Heart University, and she's my fashion inspiration and my critic. She's also the one who wakes up with me at 5 o'clock Black Friday morning to start a 12-hour shopping marathon. So I'm happy that you're joining us here today, Amanda. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the College of New Rochelle and why I'm so incredibly proud to be the president. Since 1904, the College of New Rochelle has been educating and empowering women to be independent, confident, self-assured women of intellect, compassion, and with a commitment to service. We operate across 6 campuses, 4 schools, serve more than 4,000 undergraduate and graduate students across the School of Arts and Sciences, which is still all women, the School of Nursing, the Graduate School, and the School of New Resources, which is dedicated to the adult learner. For more than 110 years, beginning right here in this campus, we've been preparing our students, now men and women, with an educational foundation grounded in the liberal arts to teach them to think critically, develop complex reasoning skills, to write and communicate effectively, and to promote strong and effective leadership. C&R students are leaders, they're contributors to their families, communities, society, and the world. Our students are not only prepared for their first career, but for a lifetime of endless opportunities. I'm going to make this very quick, Liz, and I'm going to turn it over to you, but I have to share a fashion confession. This is Neiman Marcus's fault. So if you follow Neiman Marcus, they have something called the Midday Dash and the Evening Dash. It's an online marketing genius. And what it is you get an email. And it says, for 2 hours, it's on Central Time, so you have to do a little math living here in New York. For 2 hours, you can shop online Neiman Marcus for a select few items that are anywhere from 50 to 75% off. So I'm in a meeting in the boardroom. I have my iPad. And this email comes across, Midday Dash, 65% off. So now I have to watch the clock because it's an hour difference between here and Central Time. So I decided to just open the app, and there is this Sue Wong silver beaded gorgeous dress. I am 3 clicks away from buying this because of course my account's all set up and it's tied to my Visa card. And I'm like, I just gotta do this. So I'm gonna pretend I'm working and bing, bang, boom, shipped, delivered 3 days later. So that's my fashion confession, Julie.
And we thank you for it, Judah.
And it is so effective because it's a challenge, because they run out, and you only have 2 hours, and they're a limited supply, and it's a great price. It gets to the psyche. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here today. Liz, it's all yours.
What a great fashion tip. I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that. But now we all leave today, and we can go sign up. Welcome, everyone. What a wonderful day to be here at the wonderful College of New Rochelle. And I, too, Judy, struggled with what to wear today, knowing we're having these fashion icons sitting here on the stage. So I decided to go with a simple College of New Rochelle blue. I hope you approve. Anyway, welcome, welcome. My name is Liz Bracken-Thompson, and I'm so proud to have been invited by Dee Del Bello and our wonderful team at West Fair Communications to moderate today's panel. It's my 4th time doing it with the College of New Rochelle and Dee Del Bello, and I'm thrilled. And so thrilled to welcome our esteemed group of panelists today. You have all their impressive bios in the booklet that you have in front of you, but I'm going to just introduce them with a short sentence or two, starting on my left, your right, with Dr. Joyce F. Brown, the president of the Fashion Institute of Technology, a specialized college of art and design, business, and technology. Dr. Brown was appointed in 1998. She is the college's 6th president and has 40 years experience in public higher education. She is currently director of the Ralph Lauren Corporation and a member of the Economic Club of Westchester, of New York, rather. Please welcome Dr. Joyce Brown. Sitting next to Dr. Brown, we have Julie Gaynor, who we all know is from Neiman Marcus in White Plains. Having spent over 20 years at Neiman Marcus, in her current role, Julie oversees the day-to-day operations of the store in Westchester in White Plains, including sales, merchandise assortment, promotions, marketing, and a staff of 200. Welcome, Julie. So impressive. And next to Julie, Kara Mendelson, who is, Barbara LaMonica, who is, we switched chairs, Barbara LaMonica, who is Senior Vice President and General Merchandise Manager, was Senior Vice President and General Merchandise Manager of luxury retailer Bergdorf Goodman in her earlier life. During her 17-year career at Bergdorf, Barbara was instrumental in building the businesses of many prominent designers, names we know like Giorgio Armani, Calvin Klein, and Donna Karan. Prior to founding LaMonica Bass Group, she was president of Michael Kors, where she also served on the board of directors. Please welcome Barbara LaMonica. Welcome, Barbara. And finally, last but not least, Kara Mendelson, who is the creative director and designer of Cooper and Ella, a contemporary fashion brand for today's modern woman. Kara began her career at Calvin Klein. She went on to become director of sales for Michael Kors, and she built a strong background in sales at Marc Jacobs. Please notice that she is wearing one of her beautiful blouses today. Just stand up so we can all see it, Kara. I just love it. It's gorgeous. Welcome, Kara Mendelson. So, ladies, let's get into our Q&A, and then we're going to open it up to all of you to ask questions of our panelists. But before I move on, I'm going to ask you all to reflect on this, because at the end of today's program, I'm going to ask you all to tell me in one sentence, what in your career had the most impact on where you are today? So ponder that as we begin with a question for Dr. Joyce Brown. Joyce, I know you've taken pride in being the monitor of change and visionary leadership at FIT. Maybe you could tell us and the audience how you feel about today's career opportunities for men and women at FIT. Have the career opportunities changed? If so, how? What do you see for the future of today's future designers and retailers?
Well, I guess what I would say to you is we have to consider the impact of technology and social media and all the ways in which the importance of flexibility comes into play. You know, we're fortunate, Judy, in terms of our applicants. You know, they all know they want to be there. They're all very passionate and motivated, and this is the place they want to be. But as we are speaking here today, the industry changes. I mean, everything is different. So we have to, the young people today have to take all that passion and figure out how to, in a very flexible, different approach, make sure that what they're able to produce and do is very relevant. So I would say that in terms of the importance for young people and what the industry is holding, it really has an awful lot to do with the impact of technology and being able to be on that train that's moving out with or without you.
Yeah, I think so. I think for all of us in our careers, it's all about technology and being on the cutting edge, so it seems that way even in the world of design. Julie, you know, I know that you began your career at the tender age of 13 in is it a mom and pop shoe store?
Yes, it was illegal. Don't tell anybody.
But citing your own career success, I know that fashion has traditionally been open to women, but perhaps you could share with our audience what you think the career opportunities are for today for women in the world of retailing.
I think it's pretty vast. You know, I'm very fortunate to have been with Neiman Marcus for 20 years and seen lots of channels. And places where people can work, men, women, whether it's on the merchant side of it, being a buyer, being a planner, somebody very numbers oriented who maybe likes to crunch and make spreadsheets, all the way, to the PR division who, I always say has kind of the sexy, glamorous piece of it, which is not always, but whether they're at fashion shows or really getting into meeting designers and getting to know that aspect of the positions, to buying the product that we carry in our stores or that we sell online is a pretty unique place to be at Neiman Marcus. And then certainly I'm very favored of actually being in a store environment and working with a team to do all of those things. So we really have a vast array of opportunities for anybody who wants to be in that arena of the business, I think, truly.
Yeah, and it goes in sync with what Joyce was saying too. And as we move on to you, Barbara, maybe you want to share some of your thoughts. You've had an incredibly successful career at Bergdorf, then moving on to your other successes. I mean, what do you see in terms of the future with, we talked before about the internet, technology. I know this year, the holiday shopping season, there were far more sales online. You're doing a lot of pop-up stores and things. I mean, what is the future in terms of online shopping versus in-store shopping?
Well, I think obviously online shopping is growing like crazy with a lot of stores. It is about 25% of their business and growing. I think stores are going to have to change in the future to keep clients coming in. I think they have to move forward in a way that is unique. They have to have reach out and get different collections. I know in the past, when I was at Bergdorf's, we were very careful to have a lot of exclusive merchandise that they couldn't find everywhere else because it's so easy to go online and take a look at it that way. But I think if stores are going to grow and they need to change, they need to keep up with the times. I think technology is very important in that aspect. You now can, at a lot of stores, purchase something online, pick it up at the store that same day. I think it's a matter of just changing the way stores operate. I think they just have to get out there and have unique product and offer unique ways of bringing the customer into the store. I think that's the only way.
I don't know, Julie, if you wanted to comment on that, since you're actually
Sure.
doing both online and in store.
Yeah, well, it's funny that it's a topic of yours, Liz, because it quite frankly keeps me up at night being in a store and being in a true traditional brick and mortar environment. And I think Neiman Marcus is actually working very hard at doing all the things that Barbara just mentioned. I mean, we really want to give our customer one shopping experience, and some days that's going to be a midday dash for Judy while she's in a meeting, but other days it's going to be because the two of them have time to come into the store and be with us. And I think we're recognizing that we have to be accessible to her or him in any way that they want, and she has a lot of really good points. And I think as a company, one of the things that we took a pretty bold stand on a few years back when we kind of saw this future was that we actually gave every one of our selling professionals in the store an iPhone that we pay for and that we encourage them to do business on, because that's how our customer wants to hear from us. She wants to be texted that brand new picture of Kara's cute little top so that the customer can say, yes, yes, I want it. And so we work very hard to put technology in our associates' hands so they know when to call a customer and how to do the business that they do, because I do think at the end of the day, online is convenient. Someone who's a working professional and has twins at home, I can tell you everything comes from Amazon in my house. I get a shipment daily. But I think a lot of people still want a real human connection when they decide to shop, and when they certainly decide to buy the kind of products that we carry at Neiman Marcus. It's a pretty exclusive, pretty wonderful collection of merchandise, and so they still want that expertise that I think we can offer. So I think we do have to change a lot, but I do think there's a way for all of us to do it together. It's just going to be a new world in the next few years.
I think also the personal shopping setup that Bergdorf's and Neiman's have is terrific, because, and a lot of the stores have that, And you really can't replace that with online. You have a relationship with that person. They understand everything that's in your closet, and you call them on the phone, you go in, everything is all set up for you. You don't have to wait around the store for a long period of time. And they know what works on your body and what doesn't. And I think that that's also a way to lure people into the store.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Kara, I didn't forget about you. It's just we had that interesting topic there I thought that Julie could comment on. But I know that for Marc Jacobs, you did a lot of setting up of merchandise in Asia. And we all have read over the years how so much manufacturing from the garment industry moved to Asia. But now I'm reading how things are coming back to the United States. Could you just kind of give us an overview picture of how it's all shaking out?
That's a big overview. I could also talk about technology forever too, because I'm on one very different side from everyone else, but it's really easy to see what the stores are doing, what the students are doing when they're graduating, all the opportunities on that end. So there's so much to talk about. But as far as production goes, and with production in Asia, I do produce in Asia as well, and people are producing all over. I mean, a lot of people even moved out of Asia, as to your point earlier, when the labor laws changed and it increased the cost of labor. So people were moving further offshore, really, or trying to find new places, or India. A lot of people work out of India. I do some production out of there with some amazing factories. As far as moving production back to US, yes, there is production. I mean, there's production that happens right in the garment district, absolutely. And there's production that happens a lot in LA, all the denim, the t-shirt resources, everybody's producing out there. It's easy to do. The issue is still the cost. You're still producing in the US, is still going to outcost what you're producing in Asia. You know, anything you're producing in the garment district, it's a higher end product because it's just so costly to do so. But, you know, it's interesting. There's constant shifts, and I read daily. I mean, there was just an article yesterday with Bolivia. I mean, people are moving Peru. People are trying to produce anywhere they can at the right cost with the right product that's going to come out of that.
Well, we'll talk, maybe you all could just share some of your insights on the quality of the merchandise.
Well, that's the biggest issue. You really have to have quality control. So if you're dealing in the factories in Asia or anywhere in the world, you know, if you're in New York, you can be there every day, every other day. You can stop in and see. When you're dealing offshore, it's a whole different issue. But it's a global world now. That's the world we live in, and you have to go wherever you can get the best price. But quality control is where it's at.
I think that there's a lot of things to consider when we think about this. And, you know, part of the issue, there's a big movement in the city to bring manufacturing back to the city. One has to do with labor and jobs. And, you know, obviously people always have to think from a business point of view about the cost of production. And then you get into all of those other kinds of issues about conditions of work and quality of life and all of those things, which are very important and a whole nother topic. I think one of the things, though, that when you talk about quality is fit. You know, it's not only the same, whether or not you're getting the same textile, which often you're not, but also fit. We find at the college that the market for, say, pattern makers has been diminished, except in the couture world, where they are in fact still doing their own pattern and their own design and their own in-house production. And we've instituted something called technical design, which really is an attempt to make sure that the fit and the quality can be controlled, and you're doing it all by technology. You're doing it on the computer. And in point of fact, the American body is a different fit than other places in the world. So there's a lot of issues that are beyond cost that have to be considered. And I think that in New York City, you are in fact seeing a lot of movement in terms of people coming back, doing production, but they have to be able to afford it, and it's a more expensive product, no question.
I mean, you can make product offshore using Italian piece goods or piece goods from anywhere and actually have that shipped from Italy directly to the Far East to make it. And a lot of people do that.
Yeah, none of our fabrics are actually from China. All of our fabrics are imported. All my prints are bought in Paris. So, but China has a needle that no one else has. They're incredible. And it used to be a huge issue when I worked for Michael Kors with Barbara. We made everything in Italy. We worked with Jabot. I went to Italy. I did all the fittings along with the production team. And that really meant something. And then there was a shift over the years with cost where people wanted the cost. And people started, top designers producing in Asia. And the needle was beautiful. I mean, there's beautiful factories anywhere. You just have to find them, and the quality of the work and the quality of life for the employees there, you can find it. And like Barbara said, you import your goods, you import the fabrics and the trims and the things that you want there, where you can get a little bit better cost on the labor, but still have the quality of the product there. But I mean, I think some of the most beautiful product that comes out of Asia, it's unbelievable.
Comes out of Asia. It's interesting. My sister is a buyer, which is my only connection to the fashion world, and she has told me that in fact we think, made in China, you have lesser quality goods, but in reality, they stepped up their production so that now they have one of the best needles in the world, as you call it, the needle.
I think the big thing with New York is you can turn around the product quicker.
True.
So if you don't want to take a chance, I mean, you have to order a lot of pieces
units,
way
yes.
up front.
Absolutely.
Whereas if you want to make it in New York, you can have smaller production and do it quicker, so your turnaround time. So if you need to ship reorders or that sort of thing, you can do it.
And
That's
a lot of the
easy to
stores
do.
have started, after the recession, people pulled back on what they were buying up front and do what they call chasing products. So you may get an initial order for 100 pieces. Within 3 weeks, you have your flash sales of what's moving. They come around and say, okay, this works. Give us 300 more in 2 weeks. Which, if you don't own that inventory, if you're not sitting on it, which is a huge liability as a company for me, turning it around would be impossible unless you were producing in New York or LA.
Interesting. And Julie, from a store perspective, do you see any issues in terms of on the floor with your customer base, in terms of where a garment is produced?
I mean, I think certainly the question comes up. I think we have a group of clients who are very purist and want to buy into that American made, or whether it comes from Italy and the finest towns in Italy. And certainly a lot of our vendors do that. And so, but I do think the customer gets it now. I think they realize this is a reality. I think it is better than it used to be. From a quality standpoint, and so I think they just make those decisions, and sometimes they're based on price, and sometimes they're based on quality. So I think it works okay. I mean, it works fine.
I think you'd have to differentiate to the luxury market from the contemporary one. 'Cause
Yeah,
two
absolutely.
very different animals. Like to your
but
point
a lot of
on
our
price and what
customers,
you're
I
willing
mean,
to pay.
we're also in an environment now where our customers mix high and low. So, our customers go to H&M, they go to Zara, they go to Target. They, Karen Katz, the head of our company, says her second favorite store is Target. So I do think that didn't necessarily used to be that way 10, 15, 20 years ago either. So I think with that, it kind of balances the deck out a little bit.
I just do want to go back to what we were talking about before with the internet, because we have an interesting mix of people on the stage. We've got someone who's overseeing all the students who are studying. We've got the designer sitting here, and then two fabulous retail people who have, not that you haven't, Cara, but have been, who are out there actually selling the merchandise. So speak a little bit about the internet, where you were going before, Cara, in terms of how you check out the designs for the students, and maybe Joyce, you might want to talk about how the students then connect with the designer, and tell us how that all works now online.
No, I think the big difference for me, I mean, I've been in the industry for 18 years. When I started, there was no internet. It didn't even exist. But now it's such a huge part of anyone's sales. Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, Twitter. I mean, we're literally updating at my company daily, multiple times a day, all of these resources. So when you look at what the opportunities have changed for students who are creative, who are going to FIT, but maybe they don't want to be a designer, but they're really creative, they love creating beautiful things, it is a huge opportunity for this social media management. I cannot tell you, everyone I know needs it. Every company I know has it. There is not a single fashion company, interior design company, I mean, doesn't matter what it is, small business, big business. You own a specialty store, you're at Neiman Marcus. I mean, literally, Neiman Marcus, Saks Fifth Avenue, all of them have Instagram accounts for the major, but individual stores. So when I post something, a picture I took when I was at Neiman Marcus of the product on the floor, I literally have all of Neiman Marcus who's paying attention because I'm hashtagging Neiman Marcus, I'm hashtagging Westchester Neiman, and all these people are responding and interacting. And the stores, even Neiman's does this daily at Cusp, they post pictures on the floor every day of someone wearing product. And they tell you exactly where to get it, they link it all back. I mean, people are shopping on Instagram. It's a huge platform for people to shop. So I think there's an enormous opportunity for people, men and women, in that genre that didn't exist 15 years ago. And it's a huge opportunity. You have all these people who blog also, who have great sense of style. How do you monetize that, right? I mean, you may have a bajillion followers, but that doesn't mean anything if you can't make any money off of it. So I think so many girls that come in or boys that come in that interview with me have these creative things going for them, but no one sat down and talked to them, how do you utilize this when you're going for a job interview? How do you say, I can actually operate all of these social media aspects, I know how to garner followers, I know how to engage them, and that's a huge thing, but they don't understand how to harness it and then sell it to me when they're coming to interview.
Exactly.
So I think that's a huge opportunity for one thing, and then I think with the stores, all of my stores, I'm in Saks, Bloomingdale's, and Neiman's. They're all going omni-channel, which is what you see online is what you see in the store. So they're backing up. It used to be two totally separate buyers. What was bought for the store was totally separate than what was bought online, and they weren't communicating whatsoever, which was crazy. So now people are literally they're shopping in the store, they're trying it on, they're going home, they're buying it online. They're doing the same thing online, they're shopping it there, and they're coming, so vice versa. And the fact that everybody is mobile, you have to be able to shop your product mobile. I cannot tell you the volume that comes from your phone. They're not even on laptops, or it's all iPads and mobile phones.
Like Judy.
Yeah, exactly. But it's an absolutely incredibly important part of everyone's business. The stores are important too because you can't replace those. But having them line up together, having that omni-channel, that's really the buzzword for it, is crucial.
It's interesting. And Joyce?
Well, it's interesting. I always say you really shouldn't make any decisions without a 20-something in the room. Because they think that the brain is changing. They think differently. They react differently. They consider different things that really aren't going to occur to us, as fabulous as we think we are. But it's interesting what you say. I don't know how many of our FIT kids come and interview. Because,
yeah, absolutely.
We have a very big internship program, and it's a big part of their education where they are actually going out and they are interviewing, and we have an incredible
Our interns are all from FIT.
It works.
They're great.
Yeah. And there was a young man that was a student last year. He had started as an intern in I think it was Aeropostale. And he started as an intern. They moved him up. This kid was managing a department from his dorm room and still finishing, graduated and got a job. Wow. I mean, they are incredibly facile. And I think we all have something to learn from these young people. And it really, when you talk about omnichannel, I mean, that really is where the consumer is. But it changes so quickly that we really do have to consider the different mindset and point of view, or else, it's that train that
The train's going to leave the station, exactly. Yeah. And Julie, you mentioned before, it keeps you up at night from a marketing perspective. Do you have I'm just curious, at Neiman Marcus, do you have a goal with how much online versus how much in-store merchandise you're looking to sell? And if so, I mean, do you have quotas within the store? Do you have customers coming in?
Oh, yes, absolutely, we have quotas. I mean, yeah, we're running a business, and we're very fortunate in Westchester. We run a really big business, and I think we're just trying to kind of find the balance to give our woman whatever she wants and still hope she wants us in the store. And I think that that's why, you know, Kara makes a really good point about people being very savvy on social media, because it is a requirement, honestly, for our selling professionals to know how to do this, because they can do business. It's mostly a commissioned environment in sales, and the sky is the limit about how good they can be and how much business that they can do that in turn helps us at the store level. And, you know, even just the Golden Globes that went on the other night, you know, the associates in my store who were on top of that and knew who was wearing, you know, who was wearing what and what was going on that night are doing business as a result, because that's the impact of social media and fashion. I mean, it really is, it's really out there. So yeah, I mean, we have quotas. We work better in partnership with the online businesses, certainly than we did 5 years ago. And it's a better culture now, because she's right, the worlds are colliding, and our online business does promotions and we do promotions, and those used to be very separate entities, and it was very frustrating to our customer, and I think did cost us business. But it's not the case anymore, and so we've balanced that out, and we're really just honestly trying to be available for her. And I often say we either want to be available for her when she wants to get decked out and come to lunch, or when she's in her fuzzy pajamas at 3 in the morning and can't sleep. So that's our responsibility to her as a fashion consumer at Neiman Marcus.
You know, I'm going to ask one more question before we open it up to questions from the audience, because I'm sure you have a lot. But I was going to ask Barbara, you know, we've been talking a lot about the glamour and the glitz of being in the fashion world, but there are also stories about the many pitfalls, like where wholesalers aren't paid by retailers, or how designs are stolen. What are the downsides? You know, what are the real struggles and pitfalls within the fashion industry?
Well, there are quite a few of them. However,
I'm sure.
However,
That's another panel discussion. No.
you know, it isn't all glamorous anyway. Besides those pitfalls, there's a lot of hard work and a lot of energy that gets put into, you know, the design process, the pricing process. It goes on and on. Designers, a few weeks before a collection is ready, is working like crazy on it. They're up all night. They're there at the office until 11, 12, 1 o'clock at night. The salespeople are there as well. Everybody is involved. But there are all kinds of pitfalls. There are, you know, pricing things. There's delivery of fabric. You have to buy your fabric 3 months before, or 4 months before you put it into production. How much fabric do you buy? You know, you're constantly juggling all the pieces of the business to make it work. And then when you get something, as Kara said, that's hot and people want to reorder it right away, you may not have the piece goods, you may not have, if you produce offshore, you don't have the product here. The boat is coming from Hong Kong, it sinks. You know, you get all kinds of crazy stories, but, you know, it's constantly juggling all the pieces and being smart enough to find a solution so that you can move forward and get the product to the store so that the customers can buy it.
I see Kara shaking her head the whole time that you're talking about. Yes,
well,
many late
Yeah,
nights.
we've been through that together, and as a small business owner myself, I mean, I have a small team. We have 6 people, so we have to keep our overhead very, very low in order to pass the customer the prices that are really disruptive for the contemporary arena. But I think the hardest thing really when you own a company is a lot of the onus is on you. The stores, they get the product, and if it doesn't sell, they come back to you and say, this didn't sell, how are you going to help me out? Now, I'm lucky because I have a product that's priced at a disruptive price point, so I turn fast and at full price. But it was a bloodbath this year. The stores did not have a great season, hence all the promotions that you're seeing from everyone from J. Crew to, I mean, you probably get an email from them twice a day about the 40% off sale. I mean, everybody had a really tough season, but the onus gets pushed back on you, and it's basically, we have to hit these margins, so you need to help us get there. And when you have small businesses, new businesses that are trying to do that, and you're not owned by Andrew Rosen, and you're not Theory or Helmut Lang or Rag & Bone, where do these companies, either they have to take the goods back or come up with the cash? And it's a big challenge for emerging designers, smaller designers. I still consult for a lot of young designers coming out, and a bad season can kill them and put them out of business, because you have to play the game in order to be a part of what's happening in the fashion industry. And I wish it were, people would just say, oh, well, you had a bad season, no problem, we support you. It's not like that anymore. You sell or you're out. That's the bottom line. Doesn't matter who you are, whatever, so I think that's one of the scariest parts about having a small business is people need to have a time and action plan of, if I have goods at the end of the season, where am I selling them? Where am I getting rid of them? It has to be a part of your plan from the beginning to have an off-price partner, because at the end of the season, that's what kills more businesses than anything else, is inventory.
Exactly. Does anyone have any questions from the audience for our panelists? Yeah, right in the front row. Would you like to stand up and ask your question? Tell us who you are. I know, but...
Robin Kohner. I run a digital and social media marketing firm, and I also run a division at Fordham University, the professional studies program in digital and social media marketing. So I have a question about wearable tech and where it's going. Today, there are a couple of people I know. Ralph Lauren has experimented with some things, Rebecca Minkoff. Do you see it as kind of a fad that's right now we're accessory based, but will one day my pants talk to me and tell me to stop eating cookies? We have the technology to do that, but do you see the consumers adopting it? And what's happening really more interesting to me is from the manufacturing standpoint. Are people really integrating this in the production of clothing now?
Did everyone hear the question? Would you like me to repeat it? Yeah, the integration of into clothing and fashion of actually, talking to, being digital, and from a technological standpoint.
Nike has fabric, for instance, in their shirts that can track how much activity you're taking, things like that.
Nike, as we all know, can track how much activity in a workout. Are clothes going to become more digital? So that's a good question.
I think that certainly the Ralph Lauren polo shirts, the same sort of thing. And I think essentially, from an athletic fitness health point of view is really where you see it going mostly now. And there's more and more advances that are happening from a health point of view in terms of blood pressure and heart rate. And there's, conversation. I don't know if it's so much in clothing as in accessories like eyeglasses and all for diabetics in terms of insulin rates. I mean, really important kinds of breakthroughs that people will adopt from, an essential point of view. I personally, I think it's here to stay. I think people are liking it, and I don't know if your pants are going to tell you not to eat cookies. You might be on your own on that one. But I do think there are ways in which it can be stylish and effective, and there's all the innovation research that's going on out there, and people want something new and different all the time, and even if you think back to the introduction of the RFID, those kinds of labels that you put on all the products that tells you, that you can get a size 6 in Hong Kong if you call, whatever. It tells you all about how to track where the product is. So it's just more and more information incorporated into our daily interaction. I think you're going to continue to see more and more development of it.
I would say no, only because wearable technology is very tricky. My husband is the head of design for Warby Parker, which is an eyewear company that was, I think, neck and neck with I think Luxottica ended up getting the Google Glass. they cannot figure out how to make that look in a way that anyone will wear it. It's like it's really cool technology, but no one is going. It's a hard sell. I mean, really hard sell. And there's been, I cannot tell you how many articles I've read about it and how much research they've done and how people are just like, yeah, it's cool, but I don't want to walk around with that thing on my face. I just can't do it. So it's interesting because when you look at the numbers this year, the retail was way down, but technology was way up, right? That's what people were spending their money on, to your point. But I think, you know, yes, when it comes to a really cool watch or a great new iPhone or that type of thing, people, the newer the better, the faster they can get it, absolutely. But to put something into a fashionable garment that's reading your body temperature, I don't know. I would find that very hard to believe that, because fashion, you know, clothes, people just want, they're buying into a look, they're buying into what they saw on TV or the latest person was wearing or the awards show that just featured or whatever. But it's just my personal opinion, I would find it hard to believe that, plus you'd have to pay for that technology. So the cost of the goods, it would be interesting to see how much that would increase your average price point already. And like you said, I think if you were going to see it anywhere, it would be in athletic wear for sure, and that's on the rise. I mean, every single person is coming out with a division of athletic wear, from Theory to Intermix has their own athletic wear. Like, everyone is doing that. So if it was going to be anywhere, it would definitely be there. But I can't imagine it being a part of, you know, like a regular fashion house.
I don't think it'll be couture.
Yeah.
You know, it's not for sure not. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
you really don't want your dress talking back to you.
Don't drink anymore.
But I do think from a medical standpoint and the athletic standpoint, there's really a market there.
That's probably a true prediction. 2 more questions from the audience. This lady right here, and Holly DiBartolo is going to bring you a mic.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Allison Harding. Question, do you think that the fashion industry, I think, needs to be a little bit more diverse and inclusive? There's the sameness in just about every store that you go in. Everybody has the same thing. And I think for you to increase your customer base and for having more people coming to your store to shop, you need to be a little more diverse. There is a lot of designers out there that you have not really taken the time to go and find where they are. There are a lot of shows out there that all these designers are displaying their stuff, and nobody from Neiman Bergdorf's ever comes to these shows, and you're missing a great opportunity. So I think maybe you need to be a little bit more diverse in your buying, because you have the same designers all the time, so and there is so many other things out there.
So the question for the is, are you constantly looking for diversity in terms of your,
I mean,
Barbara?
I agree with you. I think a lot of the stores do look more alike now than they used to. When I worked at Bergdorf's, it wasn't that case. We look for new designers. The first time I saw Azzedine Alaïa, he had one skirt and one top. That was all he had. I went to Paris, I worked with him. We worked on a collection that Bergdorf's had exclusively first, and the thing took off. I saw Armani's first women's show, and we went, there was a light bulb hanging down. I was sitting at a cardboard table, he was behind a screen. You know, he was just starting. You took a chance on him. He didn't ship anything that first season. We purchased it, we didn't get a shipment.
wow.
Because they couldn't get the production together. So a lot of it today, you've got to make money in these stores. And so a lot of the stores are afraid to take the risk. And it is a risk because, okay, I had no business. Whatever I spent on Armani that season, we didn't have any merchandise to sell, so therefore I couldn't hit my sales figures. So all of the stores get behind the big houses that can deliver product. If the product doesn't sell, they help take it back. As Kara said, they give you markdown money. Because the stores are faced with the problem of having to to make money. They have to make money. They have to get the sales. That's how they make their money.
It's about the bottom line.
So
Yeah.
if you try, it used to be a lot easier years ago to bring in new and diverse product. I brought Charvet in from Paris. No one had it in this country, not men's, women's, or anything. I had them develop a women's line. I worked with a lot of designers that way. Some of the designers on 7th Avenue, I used to get exclusive merchandise with in order to put it in the store. Calvin Klein used to show me his line before it was presented, and I would cherry pick off of it the styles that we wanted exclusive, and therefore they weren't available to anyone else. That doesn't really exist anymore. I think it needs to go back to that. I think we need more interesting merchandise in the stores to keep customers coming in. Perhaps if it's a new designer, maybe it can't be found online right away. And I think all of that is positive, but it all does come down to bottom line.
Yeah, it's true.
I
think they want to, yeah.
That's also where this power of social media comes into play. You know, I know that our merchants do go scout for new talent and look, and we may find a really wonderful up-and-coming designer, but that designer can't handle being in more than one store, and they can't do the production, and it becomes very difficult. And a lot of it is this emotional experience about our customer reacting to something new and fresh that sometimes tries to drive what we do, you know. And so I think new designers could really try to figure out how to network through Instagram and Pinterest and all these places so that it gets some traction from a customer base that then causes our merchants to also start to pay attention. Because
That's a great idea, Julie.
It goes both ways, and,
Yeah.
and it's not. We just don't have merchant teams large enough to scout new talent for days on end anymore, unfortunately.
To your point, that it is so hard to get in touch with these buyers. The only reason I was able to even do that was because I had been in the industry. I had worked in the industry for 18 years in sales, so they were willing to return my phone call. They're so understaffed and overworked. They've got, I cannot tell you, they don't even, their voicemails are always full, their emails, whatever. I'm an existing vendor, and it usually takes me 2 weeks to get someone to call me back. So as someone new and emerging and trying to do something that no one's ever heard of, you are facing incredible odds. Because I've been there. I know exactly how hard it is, and I had the contacts, and it was that hard to do. You know, it's tough. It's virtually impossible, and they don't pick up new designers anymore. It's all about the risk, the mitigating the risk, right? Because business isn't good for most of them, so they're going with what's good. They're going with what they know, and where they can get it, and it's going to sell, and if it's not, well, at least they'll help us out at the end of the season. Barney's used to be the place to go. They would feature the coolest, most amazing designers, where they would buy three necklaces and say, this is what we're going to represent. But even that's changed. All the old guard at Barney's is gone.
And it's all coming down to the buyers?
It's all, well, the buyers are who come, they're fashion directors. Tomoko at Barney's, she's amazing. She gets to see a lot of stuff, and she's really good at looking at new. But even looking, if they come, I'm telling you, it takes a year for them to commit even. They want us, okay, we see it, it looks
it's about
great,
risk.
we like what you're doing, we're going to come back next season. Then they come back next season. Okay, it's evolved, you're still in business, you're still producing, we'll come back next season. They won't take the leap of faith until you can prove I'm in business, I can produce, I can sell, and I'm delivering you a product that somebody's actually heard of at this point. So I agree, if you want to get your name out there, you have to go for it on your own. You have to social media, you can build a shoppable website for virtually nothing on GoDaddy. It's going to be all you making that happen from the ground up.
That's great advice. That's actually great advice to any young designer.
The other thing is, it takes an awful lot of money to have a design company. No one realizes how much it costs. It's thousands and thousands of dollars.
Oh, sure.
And
it's a small business.
It's millions of dollars,
millions.
actually, to really get the right production, to get the right team of people. And so I think some of these small designers start in the business and have no idea what it takes to really make that happen.
That's pretty
And unless
clear.
you have some funding, it's true. if a store buys a few pieces one season, they want the continuity. They want to know that you're going to be there next season.
Exactly.
In a lot of cases, the designers don't have the money behind them that it takes.
To make that happen, exactly. We have one more question here.
I feel for you all. I've been on all your sides of the desks, except for maybe education, but you touched on a number of things there. My question is twofold. One is, do you see that in the stores that you work with or deal with, that their footprints are becoming smaller to spend those real estate dollars in either pop-up or omni-channel? And two, part two, do you think bringing fine designers like Lily coming to Target in April waters down the effectiveness of a real designer?
Both great questions for our panel. Who wants to take it? I mean, pop-up stores and you know, the future of the footprint.
I have a separate buy for online and stores, so it doesn't impact me at all as far as the omni-channel part of it. They have a budget for the stores, and then they have a budget for online. So if anything, it's good for me, because the more I sell online, the bigger that budget becomes. So I don't have any issues with that part of it. I have a bigger issue with a lot of what's happening where the stores are now starting to lease space to people. So like a Maj or a Sandro and All Saints, they keep taking up more and more of floor space that's at the department stores, where they're leasing that space, which then makes the space that I have getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So my space as an independent designer that's not paying to rent the space is shrinking every single season. So Bloomingdale's has been doing it for a while, and Saks is starting to do it I think this season. So you'll see the floor space shrinking as far as independent designers versus these big powerhouses. Ted Baker, they lease that space, and they own the merchandise in it, and they get a percentage. So that's
Who knew? I mean, as a consumer,
so that kills me
I had no idea.
as far as floor space. But as far as the Target, no, I think the Target collaborations are great. I buy them. I think they're great, and I think the designers I mean, Lily's a little bit different, but I worked for Cocoon for years, who I love. He's a small designer. He did a Target collaboration. It opened up a world of customers that had never heard of him before, and I thought that was really cool cross-marketing. Just like I think the H&M, the same thing. I don't have an issue with H&M doing really high-end designers at a cost, so people who couldn't normally do it could, or aspire to buy it could have a piece of that. I don't think it waters down the brand. I think a lot of times it gives the customer, it adds to your customer base.
Julie, what do you think?
I agree with that. I mean, like I said earlier, our customers shopping everywhere. So, it sometimes helps us at Neiman Marcus because we have an aspirational customer. We have a customer who wants to come buy her first luxury handbag or her first fabulous pair of Louboutin shoes. And so, these other designers that play with H&M and Target, it just keeps bringing fashion awareness. And I think it helps kind of breed a new generation of somebody interested in being fashionable, and that comes at all price points these days. It really does. So it doesn't hurt us, and and I think we're actually we're headed down opening more Neiman Marcus stores. I'm sure you guys know we're coming to Long Island next year. We're going to Manhattan in 2018, and those are going to be big stores.
Congratulations.
So try to answer both of your questions, we're still doing that, and Neiman Marcus is still interested in that and where the market is right. So the components change, and yes, there's leased businesses, and the dynamics change a little bit in some of our future stores, but it's still out there and it's still happening.
I also think that, I remember the 20-somethings, keep your eye on them, and they're shopping in the H&Ms, and they're shopping and you introduce a customer that you can cultivate and develop. So I think it's really smart. I don't think it diminishes the line. There's any number of designers that are on QVC and Home Shopping Network. That's a different line. I mean, it's not their higher priced, higher end line, but it's business, and it's creating a different kind of awareness for their design. So,
Such great answers from such a great panel of experts here, and unfortunately, our time is run out, and I'm just going to close by asking you that question I posed at the beginning. If you could tell me in one sentence, what had the greatest impact on you in your career? Kara, do you want to begin?
Not being afraid to change.
Okay. Barbara.
I think probably what had the greatest impact on my career was maybe meeting Michael Kors the first time, and my husband and I backed him, and
That was
The
very
business
smart.
got-
Good move, Barbara. Good move.
Business got big and we
That's a
sold
pretty
it
big
off.
impact. That's a good one. Julie, what about you?
I think it's evolved over time, but I think the biggest thing has just been I've been very fortunate to have great mentors and great people to learn about business, to learn about people, and it's been instrumental in all my time.
And you, Joyce?
Well, I think learning to listen to, I hate to say this out with a film running, but I call it my keeper. Listening to it and never compromising on your principles. That is a life lesson that I think has stood me well.
That is fabulous, and we thank you all so much. I'm sure they'll be staying later to talk to you if you have questions about the latest trends that are coming up for the spring season. I'm sure we'd love to hear all that. I did want to mention that Josie Notori, the famous designer, was supposed to be on our panel. Unfortunately, she had to go back to the Philippines because of the Pope's visit. Helene Suval, who you saw on your programs, unfortunately became ill and was not able to be here today. And I also want to introduce Dean Davis from Manhattanville College, who's here today. Thank you for coming. This is all about expanding our knowledge. So thank you all. Thank you to our panelists, and I'll turn it over to Marcia Flew.
Thank you so much. Let me just see if, oh, there we go. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming and for the panel. It was very interesting to get a peek behind fashion and see it's not all the beauty and the glamour we see. There's definitely some sweat equity in there.